Good morning. It's a little cloudy right now and it's supposed to rain later, so I hope I can get this in before that. But sunshine and rain, that's kind of typical of human life, isn't it? And I wanted to begin thinking with you for just a few minutes, just a few, over the next few days, about a song that's one of my favorites. It is Well With My Soul. And so in the first verse, it says, "When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul." Talk a little bit more about the makings of this song later. But I just wanted you to think about this first verse now. He says, when peace attends my soul like a river, when sorrow attends my soul like sea billows. And that's typical of life also, isn't it? Peaks and valleys, peace and sorrow. In Psalm 4 and verse 8, David said, "I'll both lie down in peace and sleep, for you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety." David experienced peace. I would experience peace now if this train would go by. In Psalm 119, David said, "Great peace have those who love your law." So we can determine sometimes, at least to some extent, the peace that we experience based on our keeping of God's law or disobeying it. So that sometimes can determine whether we have peace in this life or not. It certainly will. Think about how many of the Apostle Paul's epistles begin with the phrase, "grace and peace to you." When he begins Romans, when he begins 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, all of those, he begins grace and peace to you. The favor that the Lord bestows upon you without you doing anything to earn that favor, just out of the goodness of our Creator's heart. And peace, that tranquil life that comes as a result of recognizing and obeying God. And in Romans 5 and verse 1, Paul said, "Having been justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ." So we can go a long way toward experiencing peace in this life spiritually when we obey God, when we look toward Jesus, when we allow the Spirit to lead us and we produce the fruit of the Spirit. But that doesn't mean all of our life will be peace even then, does it? Because sorrows come sometimes as just natural calamities of the human condition that we're in. From the very beginning, in Genesis 3 and verse 16, as the curse is uttered because of man's sin, to the woman, God said that you will now bear children in sorrow. Sorrow will come as a result. That would not have been had sin not entered the picture. You remember when Joseph went down to Egypt because his brothers sold him into slavery. When they came back and said that the man there wanted them to send their youngest brother Benjamin with them, Jacob was unwilling to do that. And he said, "If I send my young son down there with you and I lose him as well, you'll bring down my gray hair in sorrow to the grave." That could come as a result of the things that happen in this life. David, when in Psalm 18, when he was talking about the grave condition that he was in because of his enemies, said that the sorrows of Sheol, the grave, surround me. The snares of death confronted me. And then you have statements from the wise man, the preacher, in Ecclesiastes 7 and verse 3, when he says, "Sorrow is better than laughter, for by a sad countenance the heart is made better." So while we dread sorrow, and just like we dread discipline sometimes, sorrow can actually lead to a better state for us. So let's not always dread it, and let's look to the good that could come as a result of the sorrow. That's something that ought to be a great message for us during what we're going through with this coronavirus right now, and people being shut in and not being able to work and that kind of thing. But let's look to the good. I probably wouldn't be doing this had it not been for the coronavirus. So I'm thankful that at least good things come out of this. Remember that our Lord Jesus was sorrowful. My soul is exceeding sorrowful even to death, was his statement to his disciples as he was nearing the time that he would be arrested and finally taken and crucified. But never forget the hope of heaven. Revelation 21 and verse 4, God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There shall be no more death, nor sorrow, nor crying. Revelation 21 and verse 4. So when we experience sorrow here, let's remember that this is the only place we will experience sorrow if we follow Jesus all the way to heaven. We will never again experience sorrow. So we can do it for a short time, can't we? We can do that. The prophet Jeremiah, in speaking to King Zedekiah, said, "Please obey the voice of the Lord which I speak to you, so it shall be well with you, and your soul shall live." That's what the chorus of this song keeps saying. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. Tomorrow, Lord willing, or the next time we can do this, we'll talk about verse 2, though Satan should buffet. So how are we going to have it said of us, it is well with my soul, when Satan comes to attack? Well, that'll be our study next time. Thank you. Vaya con Dios, go with God, and it will be well with your soul. Have a great day.